Hands together for Mr. Chris Weathers!
All the way from South Carolina. Such a 2.5 hours, yeah? Woo! How you guys doing? This is still here. This is what I brought along. That's why fat guys like blankets, because just for a moment in time, we forget about this. We take the blanket off and we remember that, hey, we're disgusting people. Don't owe that, it's true. So this is how my day went. For lunch, I had a bowl of cold gravy. Or as I like to call it, white trash gazpacho. I don't know if you've ever had that. And then I passed out and then I ended up here. Now I'm going to tell you some jokes. Yeah. It's tough being out of town, because I'm going to be out of town for a while. And the thing I'm going to miss the most is probably my cats, because I forgot to feed them. Gonna perpetually miss them, I guess. I've got 2 cats, 2 domestic short hairs. I got 1 black one and 1 white one. So I feel guilty that they drink out of separate water bowls. And when I got one from the Humane Society, his name was Whites Only, so I had to put his name on the bowl. I don't know if you guys have racist humane societies down here. We have one in Greenville, South Carolina, that's where I live. You walk in and you're like, do you guys have any black Labrador retrievers? And they're like, they're in the back! So I was watching the news, because god damn it, I'm in the know. Right. I was watching the news and they had this story about this musical serial killer. It was this serial killer, right, who heard voices in his head, which isn't strange. But he would only hear voices when they were put to music. And they found out that his favorite band was the band Soul Asylum. I wonder what it would sound like for the band Soul Asylum to tell you to kill people. Like he puts the CD in and he's just like, I'm ready to rock out. And he hears, runaway train never coming back. Yes, this is good stuff. Runaway train, come on, kill your family. What? That doesn't sound right. Runaway train, wear their skin as armor. Your wish is my command, Soul Asylum. I shall do as you please. I guess the Menendez brothers, their favorite song was Will Smith's Parents Just Don't Understand. He loved to rap is what I'm saying. The court reports. So remember, I was watching the news, but get this, I changed the channel. Proud of me. Started watching ESPN, they had this story about this star high school basketball player who decided that the best way to honor the passing of his 71-year-old grandfather was to score 71 points in a game. And at the end of the game, they asked him, he said, what was that about? And he said, well, I thought there was no better way to honor my grandfather than to score 71 points. And I was thinking, yeah, maybe that's what you think, but I'm sure your teammates have a different idea. You fucking ball hog. Oh, is he gonna pass it to me? No, he's gonna jack up enough threes to bring his grandpa back to life. Okay, whatever. Guess that's the plays we're calling now. He lost Gramps and the state championship due to colorectal cancer. I'm telling you, I'm gonna keep tagging him until you say "oh" to him. I stopped watching TV and I read some literature. This is a whole story. I read this article about Albert Einstein, and this particular article speculated that he might be gay. I don't know if you've ever heard that rumor. But as it turns out, he just experimented a lot. I don't mean that as a play on words, I mean sometimes on the side he would suck some dick. That's all. I don't mean to, tear down one of your educational idols, but he sucked a lot of dick, guys. He sucked so much dick, he couldn't quantify it. I don't mean that as a play on words, I mean he sucked an immeasurable amount of dick. So on the drive down here, I saw a jogger. I was like, wow, she's looking hot. But as we got closer, we realized that it was a dude. So I guess that's a minor error. But then I panicked. Because what if I'm a nearsighted homosexual? They don't make glasses to correct the sin. Just ask Albert Einstein. Just to point that out. So I have a really crappy phone that cuts out all the time. Have you ever heard of a track phone? That's the phone I have. I know, it's funny. That by itself is funny. I mean, if Alexander Graham Bell came back to life, he'd just call me a faggot and walk away. The thing about my phone is it's terrible. We've already established that. I was talking to a friend, and we were just talking about friend bullshit. It was nonsense, but you know. At one point, I told him that I cut myself shaving, right? But the phone cut off before I said shaving, so he just heard I cut myself. Right. And so he calls back and he's like, "Hey man, is there anything you want to talk about? Is this a problem? We should discuss." And I'm like, "No, it happens all the time. I don't know what you're talking about." So we get back to talking, and eventually I tell him that I'm gonna go hang myself some wind chimes. But it's the damnedest thing. The phone cuts off before some wind chimes, right? So he just hears, "I'm gonna go hang myself." So he calls back. He says, "Hey man, bro," he calls me bro sometimes. So, "Are you sure there's nothing that you want to talk about?" I'm like, "Listen, everything's fine. I don't see what the problem is." So we get back to talking, and eventually I tell him, I'm going to put a gun in my mouth and pull the trigger because life hasn't gone exactly how I had planned. Is my favorite song by Coheed and Cambria. Guys, it's the damnedest thing. The phone cuts off before is my favorite song by Coheed and Cambria. So he calls back again, and he's like, "Friendo." Sometimes he calls me that. He's like, "If you don't have anything to say, I got something to tell you, and I think you need to sit down for this. I've been having suicidal thoughts of my own." And then the phone cut off because I hung up on him. So I don't have time for that shit. I got wind chimes to hang, and I gotta clean my face up for the Coheed and Cambria concert. Was he not paying attention? All right, my name is Chris Weathers. You guys have been awesome. Thank you.